Hello, my name is Niall McKay and welcome to Living with PSC, a podcast about the rare disease of primary sclerosing cholangitis. Now, PSC causes the bile ducts inside and outside the liver to become scarred, narrowed and eventually blocked, and leads to liver cirrhosis. In this podcast, we aim to dispel some of the myths about the disease. Hello and welcome to this week's Living with PSC podcast. Today we're talking about the PSC conference. Now it's a big conference and we have Joanne Hatchett here with us to tell us all about it. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you, Niall. I'm so excited to be here.
And Joanne, should we start with maybe where is the conference and when is the conference?
The 2022 annual conference this year, where it is virtually, which is very exciting because it means everybody can attend. And the dates for the conference are June 2nd through 5th. And if you don't have those dates down, please jot them down so that you can remember those dates. Of course, you can find them on the PSC website too.
And will they be on Zoom or how will people access them?
We have a platform where we're working with a company who does virtual events and is going to provide us with so many different options so that what we want is for people to have many different choices to interact and participate in this conference. So it will be virtual and it will be easy for you to register and sign up. We're going to make sure that people feel comfortable with that.
And Joanne, I believe that this year's conference is a very exciting one. Can you tell us why that is the case?
For people who have been to the conferences before, they know that we usually do them at a medical center, and we were planning to do this conference with Dr. Josh Korzenik from Brigham Women's and Dr. Dan Pratt from Mass General. We were planning this conference in 2020 in Boston. It is virtual though, and Dr. Korzenik and Pratt have both been working with our PSC team to be able to plan an amazing conference this year. And it's actually even going to be expanded beyond just those 4 days. We will be having events in April and May that are conference related. And we will be having many of the breakout sessions that we normally have during every conference. We will be having those breakout sessions from July through December through ongoing webinars.
Oh, that's great.
Normally for breakout sessions, people have to choose. They get to choose 2 sessions out of maybe 15, 20 sessions. This time you get to attend every single one that you want to attend.
I've been at several of the PSC conferences and they're great fun. You kind of go along and you register and you go to lectures, and then there's breakout sessions on young people with PSC and on living with the disease, on depression and the disease, on handling the disease. We have a dinner at night and usually that's when it doesn't get too crazy, but there's lots of karaoke and fun. It's been an experience every time that I've attended it anyway. So, but this year, obviously, people come for different reasons, aren't there? There's some people who come to connect with other people, and then there's some people who come to hear the experts talk about the disease. Do you want to talk us through that?
One of the things that always is amazing and wonderful to see at the conferences is how people have the opportunity at these conferences to meet someone with PSC. So many people, they've never had that chance before. You will have that when you come to this conference, and you will be able to spend the weekend with people who know and understand what it's like to live with PSC. For many people, that's the highlight of the conference. And as you said, other conference attendees come searching for the most up-to-date research and clinical updates, and they are laser focused on hearing those presentations from PSC experts from around the world. I mentioned we're working to meet everybody's needs at this year's virtual conference with new and extraordinary educational sessions. And those sessions, what's new and different about this year, those sessions will focus on featuring the patient's voice because that's at the heart of this conference. as well as many ways to meet and socialize before, during, and after the actual conference.
I find it a bit like high school. You kind of arrive at high school thinking, who the hell are these people and what am I doing here, on your first day. And I find that by the end of the weekend, you've made some friends for life. And for example, the first year that I went, when it was at Yale, the information my doctor had given me was that there was basically people with PSC had 10 years to live. And it was very shocking to me. It's particularly because those 10 years are coming up pretty soon now. And when I went to the conference, there was a session on this. And what they did, first of all, the information was incorrect. It was the information that was available sort of on Google at the time, and that information was incorrect. And that was very valuable to me.
And that is an amazing thing. And what you reminded me of was my first conference that I attended. I had the almost identical experience as you, except for when I first heard my son had PSC, and this was back in 2006. When I heard those words, what I remembered was a textbook. And I could, in my mind, I was visualizing reading. The depth of my knowledge about PSC at that moment was very brief, like a paragraph, seeing that 10 years was the life expectancy. And I think that is something that these conferences not only take away misperceptions like that, and you're going to physically see people who have lived with PSC for many, many years beyond that and lived very well. But in addition, when you talked about the high school experience and feeling great about meeting these people, when I left my first conference, I truly felt like I had met my second family. And I say that honestly and truthfully now. PSC and all of the community does feel like my family. Yeah. And that's the sense that people get at the conference. And we think through this virtual conference, there are so many activities to get together and be able to see other people. I think people will really feel the same. The other advantage to this conference is because it is virtual, everybody is able to come. In the past, there have been people who were not able to attend because of the cost or the travel or they had to work. This year, everybody's going to be able to come.
Yeah, the last time I was there were people from Canada, from Norway, from Sweden, me from Ireland. There were people from the UK there, because that's the problem with rare disease, isn't it, is that you often think that you're on your own. There's some exciting things happened at PSC Partners in regarding to the Chan Zuckerberg grant. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that means for the conference?
So through our work with Chan Zuckerberg, we are developing an international collaborative research network where we are working with researchers for PSC and IBD from around the world.
PSC Partners has also sponsored or funded various research groups, and I believe that some of those research groups are actually coming up with results. I just saw results from the group in Norway regarding identifying a type of bacteria in the bile that causes our illness.
PSC Partners has worked internationally with researchers for years. The difference this year is trying to develop a formal collaborative approach to this. And so there's several pieces to what we'll be doing that will be integral to this conference. And another integral part to that is having the patient's voice being a part of this. So all PSCers, whether they're new or very experienced, whether they're very knowledgeable about prior research, or if research is new to them, or maybe not their most fond topic, they are much more focused on social aspects of the conference. All of that's okay. But what's so important is that at this conference, we bring together our community so that everyone is there in force, showing their support.
The reason that's important, the reason the research is important, is because still PSC is an incurable disease, which is treated with a liver transplant, although many people live with PSC for many years. But until very recently, the treatments or the possible treatment of the disease wasn't possible. But in the last 5 years or so, certainly since I've been coming to the conferences, the landscape has changed greatly. And now, while we don't have magic pill, we do have a number of things, not just one thing, but multiple things in development that may be able to slow down or delay the progress of the disease in the coming years, and that's very good news for people with an incurable disease.
You're absolutely right. And that will be a key part of this conference. There will be sessions talking about new updates in research and where we're going with the research. In addition, PSC Partners is developing a research agenda, and there will be a session where both researchers, clinicians, and PSC patients and caregivers will be a part of actually defining what they feel are the most important aspects of that research agenda and where will that take us as we move forward.
Would you like to tell me a little bit about the natural history and what that means?
We'll actually be talking about the PSC Partners effort, which is called WIND. It's Worldwide Integration of Natural History Databases. And that will be a key portion of the conference this year.
And sorry, what is natural history?
Natural history studies look at how does a disease affect individuals over the course of time. So as someone, and for some PSCers, pre-diagnosis, they knew they had symptoms and then they're diagnosed. And we know that PSC affects people in many, many different ways. Some people have a very quiet course. Some people have very difficult times early on and may need a transplant early on. Other people may feel well for a number of years, even if they've been sick or are sick intermittently. And transplant times, they may never need one, or they may need one many years from now. That's what a natural history study seeks to search out and be able to strategically and very thoughtfully document the progress of a large group of people.
And the reason that's so important is because doctors are used to treating people who are critical. But until now, anything that wasn't critical basically wasn't recorded.
This is where there will be a way to pull together information, and this is international. So we are working with other well-known PSC research groups. So It's very, very exciting.
Tell us about the patient voice and how you said this conference is going to be centered around that.
There will be times during the conference where a presentation will be given, say, about WIND or about the strategic research plan. And then there will be a follow-up think tank where researchers, patients, caregivers, clinicians, pharma may want to join, where they come together to talk about different questions.
So, Joanne, would you like to tell us about the other activities at the conference?
There will be a pre-conference meetup. There will be newcomer orientation that will happen probably sometime in May, and you guys will all know all these dates. And opportunities for mentors and mentees to meet each other. There will be peer groups at the conference also. So there will be time for people who have PSC. You will be able to meet with a group of people similar in age to you. For the teens, for young adults, for caregivers, and then also for parents of PSCers. There are many, many peer groups, and people love the time in their peer group discussions. Also, we'll be having time both before the conference and during breaks. There will be options for people to go to a coffee chit chat or actually to go on a walk with other people. I'll give an example of for the teens. We always have a teen outing. We will have a teen activity this time. And the teens have a breakout room or their own teen lounge that will be open even in the hours which most of the rest of us will be sleeping. So we are trying to bring together so many different activities, yoga and some of the other well-loved meditation and different activities. So there will be many ways to meet and connect. Oh, and I want to mention, there will be times too during breaks where you can meet the professor. So you can go to a breakout room session where there will be a PSC expert there, and you'll be able to ask that person and talk to them about anything that comes up in that room. Wonderful. An ability to meet and talk more with speakers.
Wonderful. That sounds great. So we just have a couple of minutes left. Of course, with COVID, the conference, like every event, has been put off.
Back with COVID, PSC Partners began providing educational webinars beginning in March 2020. They had 8 webinars that covered some with pandemic issues and coping with that. There were other planned 2020 conference presentations that were given. And then we began the Roadmap webinar series in April of 2021. Those 10 webinars are all available on the PSC Partners Roadmap webinar page, YouTube, and there is so much information there featuring excellent PSC researchers and clinicians.
Wonderful. So is there anything you'd like to add, Joanne?
Some people may ask, what is the cost of this conference?
Of course.
We know that many people have not been able to attend the conference in the past, and this year, because the conference is virtual, there will not be a required registration fee. We are asking for a suggested conference fee of $25. If someone cannot afford that, they will not be asked to pay anything. What we hope for is that everybody who wants to attend will register and attend this conference.
Well, Joanne, you gave a very succinct description of the conference there, and I look forward to seeing you at it, and hopefully we'll see many others at it too. I just want to thank you for all the work that you do with PSC Partners, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this week. For more information about PSC and for a list of people and topics we'll be covering in the near future, please go to www.pscpartners.org. That's www.pscpartners.org. PSC Partners is a non-profit organisation dedicated to providing education and support to primary sclerosing cholangitis patients. There is information and resources on the website. There is a conference once a year. There is a private Facebook group that you can also join. Also, please join our patient registry. This is an anonymous database that provides research support to the medical community who are researching this disease. Thank you very much for listening.